a 2, a 3. Hello, this is Christine and James. Today we received the bordered edition of A King's Journey, and I'm going to give you a quick preview of the images, and we'll ask James about a few of the cards. Okay, first we're going to start off with the 2 new cards. Okay, and James is going to tell us a little bit about them. Okay, here is the Lovers.
This we decided to kind of go with a different Lovers this time to kind of add something new to the bordered edition of this tarot deck. So this is kind of a more traditional representation of a Lovers card. The other one kind of showed you a guy who was kind of defeating his inner demons to try and win, to finally be allowed to win this girl's hand in marriage type of thing. But it was a kind of a darker sort of idea. This one's more peaceful.
Yes, and I love the addition of the wee Cupid. I love that. It reminds me of those Victorian scraps, or those scraps. And here's the Chariot, the new Chariot.
This one, we decided to put an actual chariot in it, into the Chariot card, as opposed to just a guy having 2 paths to choose from, So, in the last one, it was kind of a magician type person, with 2 paths to choose from. One was going in the path of what was a being called the Changeling. And the other path leads to a cave, which represented a kind of rebirth.
Right. Wow, that was a little bit perplexing. I think the older image was a little bit perplexing for some people. This one kind of gives you more of the idea of control and the strength gained from the control and that type of thing of being, that I think this image works a lot better. Okay, now some Tales from the Dark Side. Now here's an interesting one, the 3 of Cups. Can you tell us a weird story or about what's going on here?
Okay, well, I was told that, when I was designing these cards, basically the girl in the middle is pregnant, and the guy holding her shoulder is her partner, which is the full character in this King's Journey. And he is discovered that she's pregnant. He's kind of shocked there. But she's discussing this pregnancy with this girl at the bar. And based the bar scene kind of on a traditional Irish type of bar. Kind of what you would kind of find sometimes around here. And that's kind of a wee bit about that card.
Well, isn't there a darker story? She's supposed to be stealing the man or something like that. Maybe I don't have that right, but...
Yeah, well, I mean, this woman, the one on the right, is, supposed, kind of more made up, with makeup and all this kind of thing. And the idea being that the girl in the middle is kind of like a wee bit plain, and the one on the right is kind of like the whole Jolene from the Dolly Parton song.
Okay, now here's one of Jimmy's personal favorites, and a card that I'm horrified to draw when I'm actually doing a reading, the 10 of Swords, the dreaded 10 of Swords.
I thought this was quite a good image, Chanel had a good concept there where he's kind of hugging a cross shaped sword, and that represents the 10th sword. I mean, there's 9 swords here. There's 9 swords here, and each one of them's hitting the chakra points. Most of the chakra points, most people know of, ends at the pelvis, but there's lots of different points, and these 2 points are in the knee and Achilles heel sort of thing. And in the background we've got the sun kind of coming up eventually. The idea being that even though he was completely murdered there, there's always hope on the horizon. So.
Like I said, this is not my favorite card to get in a reading ever. Okay, this one also has a very interesting story. One thing I'll say is Chanel has some unique concepts in these cards. And this one here is an interesting one. This one is the Devil card.
Devil card is basically the idea of this kind of devil sort of charismatic kind of preacher.
Like a Jim Jones sort of thing, I think. Like a cult leader.
A cult type of person. And the guy in the middle is dragging his wife with a chain around her neck, kind of forcing her to become one of these cult kind of people. But as you can see, she's been quite
reluctant, to say the least.
Yeah, quite roughly handled. So the sword here represents her attempt to try and
extricate herself.
Her try and get rid of that chain around her neck, you know. And the boat will take her away from that if she can do it, you know.
Here's another interesting one, and here's the Five of Cups. I like this. Kind of reminds me of Stonehenge.
Yeah, that's what I kind of based on something a wee bit similar. I based it on a place that was near where I live.
And there's lots of romantic places where Jimmy lives.
I can't exactly remember what it's called now, but it's out near a place called Port Ballantrae, and it used to be an old place where ancient people used to wait, kind of like a waiting area for boats to come in and out. You know, and that's why I decided to kind of put three different boat things on there. And the lake here is a representation of something that, you know, bothered me for years. It's called, nowadays, you know, people call it night terrors. And I used to have these kind of, you know, kind of like strange things, you know, at night where you feel you can see your body from a different point in the room. You know, you see your body lying in bed. And I used to have a lot of trouble with that.
Yeah, you also get that weird noise thing too, that people report.
Yeah, weird noises that come with it too. I mean, scientists say it's a certain thing. Like, most people report black-shaped beings.
The shadow people.
Pretty much, like they're in your room. And,
my sister Colleen thinks she's seen those.
All right.
Yeah, she has.
But that's what that's about. It's basically night terrors. If you look into that phenomenon, you know, it's the worst feeling in the world, basically, you could ever have.
Well, I think
for a guy, anyway.
Well, I think for a girl too. I mean, if I seen one of those shadow people, I probably would pee myself. I'd probably have a heart attack at my age. Serious. So tell us a little bit about the borders here too. I mean, you've done some interesting things with the borders. I like the little illustrations. Tell us a little bit about these.
Well, I decided, you know, when I was going to do the bordered edition, that I might as well try and put a wee bit more into it. And one thing we didn't have was, you know, something to represent each suit. So I went with, this was a wee fish taken out of the Princess of Cups card, which I reused for that.
We recycled it. Or Jimmy recycled it because he's kind of like, he's the, when it comes to drawing images and the technology, he's all up on it. I don't have a clue. Okay, so that is so we have the fish on the Five of Cups. Now we have the swords, the eagle.
I put the eagle in there. I think that's another recycle.
It's another recycle job.
That was from the Ace.
Waste not, want not.
The Ace of Swords. Yeah, I like that. And so I reused it for the Ace of Swords. It's eagle, and then for the wands and Pentacles.
Okay, I'm getting out the wands. The lions.
It's a lion. The lion in there to represent the element of wands, the element of fire.
The Leo.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and we have, I'm going to look for the here's the coins. Here's the one for coins. We have,
bull.
Yes.
Bull in there.
And Jimmy knows a lot about bulls.
Yeah, my parents on the farm, I've worked in most of my life, so know a bit about farm stuff.
He's had some pretty scary encounters with that animal. So this is pretty much the a boarded version of A King's Journey, and deck should be going out to reviewers soon. And like I said, Jimmy will probably upload some images on A King's Journey tarot page, so you can see the images in more detail. And thank you for watching our video.
Thank you.